We're always kept busy doing tubeless setups on fat bikes, mountain bikes, road bikes, commuter bikes, kids bikes, gravel bikes, any kind of bike. As long as you've got a good set of wheels and a good set of tires, it can usually be done. So in this video, we're going to touch on our process that we do every time we set up some wheels tubeless. When you want to set your bike up tubeless, probably the most important thing to have is an actual bike. And once you've got that sorted, you'll need to have tires, 2 of them, wheels, 2 of them, rim tape for the rims, sealant, and some tubeless valves. Today we're going to be setting up some fat bike 27.5-inch wheels. They're the FatLab 55 rim on FatLab hubs, and we're going to be running on Maxxis Minions front and rear. It's very important that your rim is extremely clean before you put the tape on, otherwise it just won't stick. If they're a brand new set of rims, then that's easy, no problem, but if they're an old set that you've already pulled off a bike and already ridden, you really need to give them a good going over. Once you have your rim nice and clean and you're ready to start taping, the best spot is to be the opposite side from the valve hole, which is usually where the weld is. Keep the tape pulled tight when applying it to the rim and make sure it's perfectly centered all the way around. Once the tape is applied to the rim, you can press it down around the spoke nipples and around the edges to make sure that there's no air gaps for the sealant to get out. Once you're sure the tape is stuck down all the way around and there's no air pockets, the next thing to do is cut the hole for the valve. You can use a sharp blade or knife, and all you have to do is just find the hole and then cut a small cross shape in the tape. Different types of tubeless kits and setups and wheels come with different types of valves, but with the FatLab hubs they all come with American Classic tubeless valves. So once you have the hole cut in the tape, you can just press the valve through, and then usually they have a little rubber grommet that goes on, and then screw on the bolt. It never needs to be too tight, just hand tight would usually be enough. Because if you ever get a puncture and it gets clogged with sealant and you're trying to take that valve out to put in a tube, it can be very difficult if it's on too tight. The next step is to get the tire onto the rim. Now most tires have a direction, so they can either be put on the right way or the wrong way, and it's usually written somewhere on the tire wall around the side. And you can know which way the wheel is supposed to be because the brake bolt mounts are always on the non-drive or the left side. Now sometimes when you get to the last bit of the tire to get on, it can be incredibly difficult to stretch it over. And if you don't have tire levers handy, the easiest thing to do is to squeeze the tire into the center of the rim all the way around. The center of the rim is usually smaller than the outside where the bead bites, so it gives you a little bit more room to work with. And especially with fat bike tires, there's plenty to grip and to roll it over, and then it'll pop on. The next step would be to remove the valve core with the valve core tool. A lot of tubeless kits come with that. And we're going to use a compressor to blast the tire onto the tube nice and easy. If you're having trouble getting the tire bead to sit into the rim properly, even when you're blasting air in, the best thing to do is check all the way around the edges of the rim on both sides to make sure that the tire is out as close to the rim as it can be. Just by just squeezing and pressing it out with your fingers. Another trick we use is to actually get a tube and wrap it around the outside of the tire to keep the tire pressed onto the rim tightly, so that when you pump the air in, it'll keep a seal and pop the tire on. Once you've gone through those couple of steps, the tire should pop on nice and easy. Once you have the tire up at max PSI, go all the way around the rim and make sure that the tire is on properly. You can always tell when the tire is seated into the bead because most tires have this little line around the edge. So if that's hidden down underneath the rim, you know that the tire is not seated properly. The next step is to put the sealant into the tire and rim. The sealant we use here that we've had the most success with is Orange Seal. It comes in 2 types, a regular or endurance. The difference is the regular sealant will seal up a lot quicker, but you'll need to apply it more often into your tires. It dries up that little bit quicker, and the endurance lasts a lot longer, but it won't seal up as quickly and it won't seal as big a puncture. Another great thing about Orange tire sealant is it comes with this tube included in the kits, and it makes it super easy to get the sealant in through the valve core. You just press the tube on over the valve and then squeeze in the sealant. Orange Seal recommends using 3 to 4 ounces for a 27.5 or a 29-inch wheel, but because this is a fat bike wheel, we'd normally put in about 6 ounces. So once you have the sealant in, you can put the core back into the valve, use your core tool to tighten it, and then reinflate the tyre. Once you reinflate the tyre, put it back up to the max PSI, never go over it. And you got to get the sealant all over the inside of the rim and all over the tyre. So you can just roll it around like that, flip the other side, roll it around, shake it up and down. What that does is it gets the sealant into all the little tiny holes and gaps that might be in there around the rim or around the tape, and plug up any holes to keep the air from leaking out. So that's how we set up any bike tyre tubeless. The same process applies no matter what kind of bike you're on, mountain, road, gravel, fat bike. The only difference is the size of the rim and the size of the tyre. One thing to note is that it can slowly lose pressure overnight when you first do it. All it takes is for you to bring your bike for a cycle to really splash that sealant around inside the tyre and plug up any holes. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube so you can stay up to date with any other videos we bring out about bikes or products we have in here at MBW Bike Shop.